there was a speech today, which I didn't watch all of One News, kind of skipped through it. The pre-budget speech to the EMA wasn't featured at all. But Chewy, because I'm such a rock and roll lifestyle kind of guy, I watched it. That's how cool I am. And I think we're going to talk about it now. So cut away. Now, if I'm the clips I'm about to show, just to give you a bit of a heads up. This is, I think, from Stuff, and what they do when they're filming is they sometimes zoom in and zoom out and zoom in and zoom out and look around the room and zoom in and zoom out, because what they're doing is they're making a bunch of cuts that they can use in their news items. It definitely did that at the start of this. It may do it through. I'm just giving you a bit of a heads up. And also, the way I hear it, I think it's only in one channel because that's how they record the audio. So it's in one channel that you're in. That's why. But let's have a look. This is I actually already tweeted about this today. Do you want to hear what Nicola Willis admits to about the tax revenue? This is about 55 seconds. Have a listen.
Tax revenue forecasts have dropped considerably, making it a lot harder for us to get the books in good shape. Doing so will take several years and lots of hard work to make savings and
well, what's more important is tax revenue has dropped significantly. So there's a perfect time to give tax cuts where you take more out of the consolidated fund. So there's less going in, right? The revenue has dropped, so there's less going into the pot. It's the perfect time to take out unnecessary tax cuts from the pile of money that's smaller than predicted. So
you're
smaller,
right, Matt. It's so dumb and obvious. I missed it.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Jesus.
So tax revenue is not as big as it was. So what we'll do, so it's gone from 100 gold coins to 80 gold coins. I think now is the right time to give away 30 of those gold coins. Like what? What are you talking about?
Prioritise spending. All of this, of course, makes for one heck of a backdrop to our government's first budget. And my sense is that New Zealanders are realistic about the task our government faces.
So what that means, what that means is don't expect too much, people. Your $2 be grateful for your $2 a week tax cut, and people up the top, we got you covered.
No one is asking us to wave a magic wand because there isn't one. Instead, people are looking for us to show a clear, credible path out of this economic and fiscal mess. You are looking for a little relief today, but most importantly, you need the hope that tomorrow will be better.
Relief today.
And that is what our budget will do.
So their budget is going to bring relief and a better future. I probably could have just played 10 seconds from that clip, because honestly, tax revenue is not what we expected it to be. Tax revenue is lesser than we expected it to be. Tax revenue is not as much as projected. Let's give a bunch of it away. Like, what? Now, isn't it when there's surplus? Oh, we've got too much money. Let's give some back to the peasants. Sure, we don't have enough money. Let's give some back to the wealthy. It's, what planet are you on?
They're supposed to... Again, how many times can I say this without just losing my shit? The party of the economy, the party of numbers, is just shitting the bed so consistently hard on this. Unemployment is up. Tax take is down. The economy's stalling. Like, the confidence is out the fucking window.
Yeah.
Like, I can't... Can the difference be any more stark? I mean, I applaud them for just absolutely not even hiding it behind the shimmering bed sheet of lies and just taking a little bit of time to so people don't notice so much. They're ramming it through like there's not going to be a tomorrow. For people like us, we're doing this every day and there's too much to cover.
Yeah, for sure.
For the traditional media, there's not enough time to cover all of it. Like, it's mad. It's absolute madness. For her to go, oh, I think the people of New Zealand understand and have to be realistic. We have to give a tax cut to their landlords. Like, owning property is the cheat code here in New Zealand. It's got such obvious tax benefits, even without fucking interest deductibility on top of your capital gains generator.
Yeah.
That somebody else lives in and pays for.
Yeah.
It's obscene that they think that the person that owns that asset that produces nothing deserves a handout. They produce nothing. One of the big criticisms of our economy is it's non-productive. We cruise on the dairy sector. We put literally all of our eggs in one basket as far as our production, our GDP. Everything else is just shuffling 100-year-old villas between portfolio and portfolio and going, oh, look, aren't we doing well? It is a house of cards.
It is a house of cards that will fall at some stage. And you know what? Nicola Willis, in her pre-budget speech, one of her pre-budget speech, actually revealed a bit of the house of cards. Because do you know what she also then does? This is the preemptive strike. She talks about borrowing, how the government has to borrow because there is a structural deficit. But that's just fancy words. It means we're just borrowing for groceries. Or I could do the voice again. We do that one?
We're just borrowing for groceries.
But of course, it means, once again, just the same as the tax take going into a pot, that borrowing is because there's money going out of the pot to places like tax cuts, interest deductibility for landlords. If those things weren't going out of the pot, then we wouldn't be having to borrow for groceries. Let's hear her say it herself.
The Treasury estimates a structural operating deficit of around 1.5% of GDP in the current financial year. Structural deficit is a technical term.
Yeah, ignore it. Just ignore that. I'll give it to you in mum language.
I've already tuned out. There's no way I can understand what
structural
what
something or other. Just
I've stopped listening.
Don't just ignore it. It doesn't mean much.
More colloquially, New Zealand is paying for the groceries and we are borrowing to do that. New Zealand is borrowing to pay for the groceries.
She fucked it up so often she had to say it 3 times to make sure that when they clip it, it'll be done out like she wants it. So we already knew this, but once again, they're borrowing to cover some what they call day-to-day costs of running the government. Would they have to borrow anything if they weren't doing interest deductibility or tax cuts? The answer is no. So fuck you. They're borrowing for tax cuts. They're borrowing to enable tax cuts.
What an offensive analogy she's used when there are people in New Zealand at the moment that are after paying their groceries.
Yeah, shit, that's true.
Literally borrowing for their groceries. Food banks are empty. You know, that's a fun wee thing.
One
of our duopoly of supermarkets is asking you to help them.
Something about food banks. Something about food banks was quite important because I saw an article the other day. We didn't show it because we have too much to cover, like Chewie said before. There's several food banks that used to be able to work with some of the leftovers from school lunches. So school lunches, if they were leftovers, would go to food banks, would go to the public. And this government came out. It might have been Seymour. It's not the government's job to feed families. I should probably look it up to get the direct quote. But so the school lunch downgrade is going to actually go on and flow on not just to the kids, but other people in society, because there are some food banks which receive some of the leftovers from school lunches, but probably not anymore.
Short-term thinking, surface level thinking, one step removed thinking. There is no flow-on effect. There is no consideration of what they have set in motion with all of these ridiculous policies. I mean, I can't even afford one shiny fella. I'm going to have to fucking put that on the credit card now.
Afterpay. Can we do Afterpay?
Afterpay a shiny fella on Uber Eats.
I've actually found the story. I probably don't have the place exactly, but even if we've got to watch 60 seconds of it, if you just want to see the evilness of this, I'm pretty sure it's Seymour that says, have a listen.
You've got to be realistic. It's not the education system or the school's job to feed a child 24/7.
There you go. So I got a few of the quotes wrong, but that's why we want to at least try and get it right for you. So it's not the education.
That's a classic
job.
Seymour, though, isn't it?
It's not the school's job. Yeah.
No, it's not the school's job. But also, then we take it to a ridiculous. It's not the school's job to feed a child 24/7.
Yeah.
No, nobody.
Not dinner.
There's not a single person fucking saying that, Seymour, you idiot. They're saying maybe a breakfast, definitely a lunch, definitely a benefit. Many schools, many education systems do the same thing. We are a country that apparently produces enough food for 40 million people, and we can't feed our own fucking kids. Yeah. I want to stuff him into his own suit jacket. Fold him up like a pretzel.
We've played that kind of out of context. I think he was referencing the idea about it going to food banks. That would be the 24/7. So we feed the kids at school, and then we feed them at home from food banks. But what he's actually missed in the situation that makes him sound like the evil villain is there are some people who require food at school and then food from a food bank to survive. But he's either seen it clearly and doesn't give a shit, or he's missed what an evil, vindictive arsehole he sounds like by acknowledging that. You can pick which one you think it is.
This country shouldn't have hungry people. Shouldn't have hungry people at all. That's a bottom line. And like, if that's too just out there Marxism, garage Marxist for you, how about this one? We amend it. We should not, in this country that produces so much food and has so many farmers that want us to know, hey, look, if there's no farmers, there's no food. We should not have hungry kids. There should not be a single child in this country that has an empty belly.